Welcome to Boba Takeover. I've effectively taken over this podcast. This is about Book of Boba Fett, the latest Disney Plus Star Wars show. And with me is my co-host Spencer Chandler. You can join now, Spencer. You can be a part of this podcast.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I got my intro rights revoked for apparently not getting the show correct for 3 episodes.
Hey, that's what happens when the co-host Christian Miller takes over. So
that is exactly what happened. Well, today, as Christian has stated for us, we're here to talk about the Book of Boba Fett, episode 4, The Gathering Storm. But before we get into that, we have some brief news for you. Normally, we don't cover news unless it's either very big or we do it all at once. But sometime this week, can't remember the exact day, we got an official release date for the Lego Skywalker Saga video game, which I know you've never heard us talk about, but Christian and I really like Lego games, and personally I've been waiting for this game since they announced it, and we were very excited to announce that this game, well, I don't know why I'm excited to announce, I'm not the one releasing the game, but it will be releasing on April 5th, 2022, so everybody get ready, get your pre-order skills ready, because this game is going to sell out fast. If the Star Wars community has anything to do with it, this game will sell out fast, or just parents trying to appease their kids,
which is the majority of the people who will be getting the game.
Yeah, and then there's people like you and me who are 20 and 21-year-olds who are.
I don't play video games unless I'm at my family's house.
Well, that's true. I will be buying this game.
I haven't updated any,
which is sad because
stuff
I now can't use. By the time this game comes out, I won't be able to use the excuse that I'm still a teenager, so it's fine. I can act like a child. I will be 20 by that point, and so I will be a 20-year-old buying a Lego game for myself, and I won't feel bad about it. But speaking of Legos, my Star Wars story for this week has to do with that. Like about a month or two before 2022. Lego announced that they were going to make, if you know the Brickheads, they announced that they were going to be making an Ahsoka Tano Brickhead, and I got really excited, and it said coming January 1st. So literally on New Year's Day, I was on the Lego website ready to buy this thing, and it had not come out. All right. And I've been checking the Lego website like every other day since New Year's, and either yesterday or today, it officially is available for purchase. And so today I purchased a Lego set. Again, almost 20 years old, I purchased a Lego set. It's a Brickhead of Ahsoka Tano, and I'm very excited to add that to my growing Lego collection that probably shouldn't be growing. But yeah, that was cool. So I'm really happy that I got to get that finally.
And today I participated in a class discussion and had a very thoughtful exchange with my professor. I'm just kidding. I don't care.
Okay. Yeah. I also don't know on I guess on the
look, I watched the whole trailer for the gameplay trailer for the Lego Star Wars thing, and it got me by the second half.
Yeah. It looks really good. I'm really excited for it, especially because
I didn't recognize the music though. I don't think they used existing Star Wars music.
They may not have. I've been really addicted to some of the Lego games recently. So like, I went back and played Lego Marvel Superheroes 1 and 2 over winter break, and now I'm playing back through Lego Avengers. And so I'm basically just going back and playing through a bunch of old Lego games. And they've gotten really good recently. So I'm really excited to play Skywalker Saga because we're getting the original. I don't think they're changing the original episodes all that much. Like the episodes from the original Lego Star Wars game, I think they're just remastering them and making them into like their new like open world system of play, which I'm very excited for. We were talking about this before the podcast that it's going to be like a whole new thing, but we're going to do kind of another episode.
This isn't that episode.
Yeah, we're going to do an episode about this game in a couple weeks, or we may wait until the game comes out and talk about it. We'll see. We'll let you know. But we're not going to talk about the Lego game right now because this is for the Book of Boba Fett, which we should probably get into. Christian, how did you watch this episode? And what were your original your first little hot takes or your views on the episode as a whole.
Well, I watched them with these headphones. This is a throwback. I wore these for the season 1 of Mandalorian.
Yes, and they were
These
notoriously
were my
really crappy to record with, or they were a pain
yes.
in the butt.
So yeah, I had to use these because my second earbud, which is not in my ear right now, went dead on me. Because I probably used it too much since like August when I got it. So
Are you also one of
that
those
was
people who,
interesting.
if you're wearing one, you always wear the left one?
No, I normally always wear two. It's just like
Interesting.
for like the past 2 months, that left one was like a little dimmer, and sometimes it would like
Mm.
fall into a pocket of my ear where like I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, see, I always,
Um,
if a lot of times if I'm like walking across campus, I'll only use one, and it's always the right one. So I wouldn't be surprised if my right AirPod just dies one day. And
no,
I'm
I
stuck
always
with the
have
left
two
one.
on, and like they do have a setting for awareness mode so you can hear what's going on,
That's cool.
but I never use that because it just like freaks me out.
Hmm.
It's kind of weird. Anyway, that was the only difference. I just watched it on my laptop, and I did realize a few days after we recorded last week that when I was complaining about the action sequence or the chase sequence, when I was saying that was like the sound mix was too low, I later found out that my volume level was like halfway through it on Disney Plus. Uh,
Nice.
so it was probably just a me thing.
Nice. Yeah, that'll do it. Speaking of your takes on last week, when you were saying that there shouldn't be any action scenes uh, in that episode, or just like in general, I don't know. I was listening to another podcast this week about the Matrix, even though I haven't seen the new Matrix yet.
Wait, what's the podcast?
It was the Corridor Cast. It was the dudes from Corridor on YouTube. They do a podcast, and they were talking about. They were trying to talk as much.
Ding. You
What?
mentioned Corridor.
Oh, yeah. Well, they were trying to talk about the Matrix without making a super spoiler, but like there was still like some stuff which I kind of figured and had known anyway. And apparently their biggest thing is there shouldn't be action either. The action scenes were the worst scenes in the movie. I just thought that was funny that, you know,
They were saying that Matrix
hmm
Resurrection shouldn't have had action.
yeah. I haven't seen it
Interesting.
yet, so I have but from what they were saying, it makes sense
I
from what
think
they
yeah,
were saying.
you can maybe make a case for it because I don't like the action in the new movie as much. I focus
They
more
just
on the
said,
emotional
yeah, they just said it
arcs
doesn't
of
feel like
it.
they tried on the action scenes.
Yeah, which is but like it's also like there's a standard which is the best action movie of all time, which is The
Oh,
Matrix.
yeah,
So like
yeah,
you're never gonna meet that.
yeah.
Um,
It's apparently
but
also
yeah, you
super meta, which I'm excited for.
caught me in that little tangent talking about The Matrix.
Sorry. I'll talk about how I watched the new Boba Fett episode.
Sorry, we need to discuss things that I don't like.
Yeah. You do like the new Matrix movie?
It it's pretty good.
All right, cool. That gives me hope.
I'm not
Um,
okay. This is the last day. I think it's on HBO Max,
oh crap.
and I could have watched it for the third time, but I just instead decided to watch Encanto in Spanish. So
Ooh,
it's
that's
like
cool.
it's not good enough for me to watch it a third time like Dune. So
Yeah. Well, I still have to rewatch the other three Matrix movies, so I guess I'll wait. Um, for the Book of Boba Fett, however, I did not watch it on Wednesday. Wait, yes, I did. I did not stay up to watch it, but I watched it last
well, you
night.
never stay up to watch it.
No, I did for Mando sometimes. If I didn't
I don't
have
remember you
anything to
doing it.
do. I think I
I
did it
think I
at
was just
least twice. Oh, and the Book of Boba Fett,
well, you did it for the season 2 finale with me because
yes,
we
and
were
also the season premiere. I think for this show, I think I stayed up and watched. If I'm not mistaken, I think I stayed up and watched it. I can't. I know I stayed up until 2 a.m. to watch it. I can't remember if I stayed up 2 a.m. the day it came out or the day after it came out to watch it. But either way, but I watched it last night. I'm really bad about watching things on my phone, but I had headphones on, so I got to like actually like listen to it. And my overall reaction with the episode is that I really like the first 20 minutes of this episode. The rest of it I could give and take for. But that's just, my first opinion. There is one part at the very end that if you've listened to last week's episode, you would know why I really like. There's one thing at the end that I got really excited for. And we'll get to that when we get to the end. But I am going to do a short little synopsis as long as those privileges have not been revoked.
Yeah, you can do that. And
right, cool.
Before we get started, do you have any scenes pulled up on YouTube or Disney Plus that you want to share at any point? Because I do have a moment that I want to point out, but it's like much later.
Okay. Currently, no. No, I don't. I can't think of anything that I would want to show. Okay. Anyway, we start off. Boba Fett is having to deal with, his Tusken brothers and sisters have just been mutilated by. We figure out is the Nikta or the Nikta. I can't remember which letter comes first.
Nikto is the species.
Nikto. That's the species we were trying to think of, and they are the Scourge. Boba's group is the Mods. That's their name. So now we know. Anyway, so he's going to kind of stake out Jabba's palace because Slave One is still stuck inside and he needs to get it out.
Fire spray.
Fire spray?
It's been renamed. It's Fire Spray Gunship.
I think that's just the kind of ship it is.
Yes, but there was a report a few months ago that they're not going to be calling it Slave One in the show.
Oh, man. Well, okay. So. But then we hear, as he's at a campfire, we hear Mandalorian music from the Mandalorian, unless I'm mistaken. As the explosion's going off in the background that he sees, I swear that was music from the Mandalorian.
Yes, he sees in the distance the fight from Chapter 5, the Gunslinger.
Yes, which
he sees the flares. He sees it was the blinding flares that Toro and Mando set off to throw off the sensor, the scope on Fennec's sniper. That's what those were. Yes. I just realized it now, but I knew it was that episode.
Also, have you noticed my name change on Zoom?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
You're Toro Calican. When did you do that?
Before we started recording.
Anyway, this flashback for this Boba episode takes place during the Gunslinger, so he goes off.
Yep.
Chases
but I was like, that's definitely music from the Mandalorian, and I think it's the same song that's playing during that whole scene or whatever. But anyway, he comes up. We get the exact shot for shot, the shot of him of the not really post credit, but the ending scene of that episode of him walking up to Fennec. And what I think is really funny, and the one thing I noticed about that scene, I'll do it after the synopsis. Anyway, he picks up Fennec. She's dying from a gut wound. He takes her to the Mods in Mos Eisley, who
and Thundercat.
Yes, and they give her.
So I was racking my brain. I was like, "Is that Thundercat? Why would he?"
Yep. And he tricks her out with a nice stomach droid parts, and so now she can live. She agrees to help him for saving his life, and so they break into Jabba's palace and they take Slave One or Fire Spray Gunship out of Jabba's palace in a weird heist scene, I guess. And then once they're out, she decides that she'll stay with him because for whatever reasons, he, I guess, tells her that it's okay for them to stay together, or he's trying to convince her that he wants to get out. And he says that he has some unfinished business, so he goes back and destroys the Nikto people, the bike riders, the Scourge, just murders them brutally. And then he goes back, and I thought he was going back just to kill the Sarlacc, and I was like, "That's hilarious." I thought he was so vengeful that he went back.
Scene of him shooting it.
More, and just Kylo Anyway, no, because for some reason he thought that he left his armor there, even though the whole reason he got out is because he used his flamethrower to burn it, but he still thought that his armor was in it.
Well, I guess he was just in a daze, so he doesn't remember.
Yeah, but I thought they were gonna retcon the first episode, like in the show. I was like, is his armor gonna be in there? And it's like, let's go retcon the first episode about the Jawas stealing his armor.
Because he didn't travel very far outside of it, so the Jawas got it immediately, and so he remembers getting out and then waking up.
Well, he was passed out when they took it, so that is like, I guess he woke up and was like, when he first came to afterwards, he didn't have it on. But then he tries to find it. Starlight attacks them, and we get the most anticlimactic sonic boom in the entire Star Wars. We thought I think it's the most, because like we don't get the cool sound. That's the whole. Yeah, but it was muffled because the sand, and it was, you know what I mean. Anyway,
I mean, you just watch the scene from Attack of the Clones again.
Yeah, I will. We get Mando and Fennec having probably the most character development that Fennec will ever have in this show, which is still not a lot. And it's basically him saying, hey, we can get out of this if you work for me. And then he gets out of the Bacta tank, and we're back to ABF after Bib Fortuna. He, for some reason, goes to the club where Black Chrysanthemum is there, who causes a ruckus, and is my favorite part of the last bit of the episode. And then remember how we're talking about how that whole scene with the Trandoshans and the dog-looking people, like that's going to be like a really cool, like this is going to be cool to like see all these people in one place. The scene sucked. It was like 5 minutes long, and I didn't really like it. I thought it was going to be more than just like a 5 minute, hey, you guys don't kill me, I don't kill you. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what it was. And then the episode ends.
Well, there's a scene worth mentioning at the end where it's finally nighttime at Tatooine. We didn't see nighttime throughout the whole show.
We saw nighttime during the Tuscans.
I mean, like at the palace or in the city.
Oh yeah.
So it's like dusk, and Boba tells Fennec that they're preparing for war.
Yeah.
And they need to hire some muscle. And then we hear the recorder theme from The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So they're gonna hire the Mando.
Yeah. I didn't catch that.
You knew that.
Nope.
I knew. Because you ended the synopsis, so I was like, Spencer, you're not done yet.
Hey, be proud of me that I caught the first Mando reference.
Yeah.
So wait, this is before he met Mando for the first time, right?
No, because we flashed to.
That's right. This is ABF.
After Bib Fortuna.
This is ABF, so we are, yes, you're right. So yeah, this is, dang, I really didn't want Mando to show up in this show. Because he's just going to steal the show. He's going to be the best character in the show.
Yeah, I don't remember where I saw it.
He's either going to be the best character in the show, or they're going to write him really crappily so that he's not the best character in the show. And I don't want either of that to happen.
Yeah. I saw a joke where like Boba's like, so Mando, have you been? And he's like, just kind of going through it.
Well, I mean, okay, listen, Mando's busy enough being all depressed.
He might not. I don't think he's busy. I think he's he's in emotional turmoil right
That's what I'm saying. I said he's busy being depressed.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's busy dealing with his own emotions right now.
He's having a midlife crisis. He probably gets a new ship and is like really super.
Well, he has to get a new ship. He doesn't have one.
Yeah.
I mean, he rode there on Slave One, and then who knows where Boba just dropped him off.
All right. We'll get to it. We can talk about that more in depth later.
Okay.
So let's start at the beginning of the episode.
The best part of the episode.
Yeah, we go straight from the back to tank, and then we bridge the gunslinger scenes.
Yep. And then absolutely
last episode we did see Pelimoto, so that was an even bigger tease of like, or not bigger, but that's further connection.
Yeah.
This is during the flashbacks are pretty close to the gunslinger time.
Mm-hmm.
And then
and then we get one of my favorite scenes in this entire show so far, which is the whole part with the mods, dude. It's that weird Star Wars stuff that like it's just weird enough to be like that's Star Wars, but not too weird that you're like, why is this in here? And I love it. I don't, it's just weird. I love it so much. The whole scene of him like fixing up the neck is like great. Very cool stuff.
And it's not too indulgent in like sci-fi things to where it would feel like it's like a different genre. I feel like they could have made it like might be an easy example, but they could have like done a little bit more visually, like like the Toy Story 2 scene where the guy's like polishing Woody.
Yeah.
Something
they do
like
a couple
that.
close-ups.
Like, yeah.
They do like a nice 10-second still shot of him putting that rod in her stomach.
Yeah. I just like there's not like as much of it that I really latch onto. Like the thing I was focusing most was like I'm pretty sure that's Thundercat, but I don't know his face super well.
Yeah. But also like as soon as she's out of there, you never see it again. She covers it up immediately. And I was like, dang, I would have loved to see you like do action scenes with that just showing. But I also understand you're on a TV budget. You can't afford to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, that whole scene was very cool. And I appreciated it a lot just for the weird stuff.
And then she wakes up and Boba is sitting there with what we now know to be called a dark melon. Is that what it was?
I think it's a black melon.
Black melon?
Yeah, he called it a black melon.
Okay. Here's something I like. There's plenty of things that like.
The way that he explains it sounds like alcohol.
Yeah, there's plenty. Okay, there's plenty of cool, weird things that I like about this episode, but I'm gonna get some negative out of the way.
That's cool.
I think it would have been more compelling to start this episode. I know we're doing everything through Boba's flashbacks, but like, just as what I think is just demonstrably cooler is opening up from Fennec's point of view and having her wake up and be confused and not knowing where she is and not really even understanding why she's alive. And I feel like that brings up a problem with the show, and that we have a better, more complex characterization of Boba Fett, but it's still not giving him an arc. I feel like he's just repeatedly throughout the show been like, I am respectful, and I always uphold my principles no matter what. And the weak points of the show have always been the supporting characters. And so the way to make this show stronger is if a bunch of other characters surrounding him change dramatically having met him.
Yeah, I agree.
Where like that doesn't mean you need to draw away focus from him. You can still have him flashing back and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, just look at the Mandalorian. Those characters are great.
But if the primary like change, if you want to keep him static, because there's the option of having him not be static and change. But if you want to keep him consistent because he basically always makes the right choice, then have the surrounding characters change throughout the show with him. So that's my updated opinion on this whole show.
Well, and I have
when this episode, I think Fennec, like starting at that point, I think that would have been a cooler way to begin.
Well, and I have no idea how the writers, I mean, we don't know how they write this, but it almost feels like they're trying really hard to not make him Mando, but then like they're trying to like do it too much. You know what I'm saying? Like they're over adjusting to try to not make him like Mando. Mando being a very complex character who was a bad guy, but is now trying to be better and do the right thing and struggles with sometimes doing the right thing. And they're like, well, Boba can't struggle because then he's just Mando. Then, I mean, and it almost feels like they're overcompensating for trying to not make him like Mando by just making him this static character who just like you said, always does the right thing somehow.
And I feel like there's, like, I'm not saying you need to make the show more cliche. I think more like symbols and archetypes just work really well. a
Yeah.
new story. So like I think like the whole thing of Baby Yoda is just like a great way of showing two very different characters. And Mando's
Hmm.
thing is that he's always repressing his emotions and repressing what he actually wants. And then he always has to like make tough decisions for the right ends. And I don't feel like there's as deep of an emotional conflict within Boba in this show.
Yeah. It feels like his only thing is like, I want to be the head of a crime family. And they're like, why? And he literally goes, why not? His entire thing, okay, we get a discussion of Finnick, and she asks the question that we've all been wondering for the entire time. And it's, why the heck would you stay on Tatooine? And why do you want to be the head of a crime family? And Boba's literal answer is, why not?
Well, he does explain though that he wants someone who's been on the other side to be in charge, so
Yeah.
that people are taken care of and not taken advantage of.
He said like he's tired of bounty hunters and other people like dying because crime lords are stupid, basically.
Yeah, because like in a way, that's exactly what Toro Calican, what happens to him.
That's also exactly how Boba died, quote unquote, because he was working for
That's on
Jabba.
him.
Well, yeah, we don't get shot in the jetpack, idiot.
I mean, yeah, we haven't fully explored like the things that Jabba did to mistreat him, but like Toro is probably the best in canon show example, I guess, of
Mm-hmm.
someone who like doesn't know what they're getting into, is really into the style of being a bounty hunter, but doesn't know actually how to do it well. He doesn't have a boss necessarily, but like Boba knows that there's significantly more people like Toro than are like Boba. Boba's
Mm-hmm.
like a minuscule amount of people who are legends. Most people are like Toro, who allow themselves to get in really bad situations and end up
Yeah.
wasting their lives. So I think that's what he's getting at. But you know, it's not. That's me drawing on everything from this and trying to get into his head. That's not necessarily what the episode shows.
Do you want to a really super nitpicky film, like, I don't know if this is necessarily filmmaking, but a really nitpicky thing that I thought of, or I don't know, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's just something that came to my head when we see Boba um getting like finding Finnick on the ground and walking up to her, right? In Mando season 1, there are very obvious spur sounds, and that is, that was a nod to Boba Fett, because in the OT he had spur sounds whenever he walked, right? That was the big thing.
In on Cloud City,
Yes,
probably.
it's that
Yeah,
they, I
I
think,
guess so.
if I'm not mistaken, they had spur sound effects, and that's why they did it in Mando, was to make it as like a, maybe a small hint, that it might be
Yeah,
Boba.
I think people had figured that out. I didn't.
Yeah,
I was still open to it being Moff Gideon at that point.
yeah, but that was the thing, right? Well, nowhere in this entire season that I've noticed has he had spur sound effects when he walks in his Tuscan clothing, right? And if you watch the scene of him walking up to Finnick, it's they're there, that you can hear them fade in. You can hear the spur sounds fade in as he's getting closer to Finnick, and it's kind of funny
What do you
because,
mean fade in?
like, they're not there when he first gets off. The spur sounds are not there when he first gets off the bantha, but as he walks closer, they slowly get louder and louder until you can just barely make out that they're spur sounds. They're not nearly as loud as they were in Mando season 1. I just thought it was funny.
That's interesting. I'm looking at the poster, and this is his like new Tuscan Mandalorian outfit,
Yeah,
and he's got the original boots. Like he still wears those boots. So
yeah.
it's interesting that they don't have the spur sounds anymore. But
Maybe they do, and I
maybe that.
haven't noticed, but I don't think they do. But then they put them in barely when he meets Finnick to kind of like be like, oh yeah, remember that sounded like this. I could be
You
very
kind of
wrong.
you. I guess you did introduce this part by saying you're nitpicking, but You're really nitpicking.
I
this
really
episode.
am. I told you, I'm really nitpicking. But it's honestly, it was in the moment of the episode. It's what I was thinking about. I'm dead serious. That's exactly what I was thinking about. But anyway, we can jump back to where we were. We were at Boba trying
There's
to.
like there's a 3 second shot of them riding a bantha, and then we go straight to them scouting Jabba's palace.
Yeah, Jabba's palace. And then she pulls out this little drone thingamajig out of the butt of her gun. Yeah, and then it
Do you
kind of
think she
scans.
has a Capri Sun in that gun?
Maybe I would, in case you get thirsty on Tatooine.
I think she has everything in there.
Oh yeah. Well, everything she's ever needed in the show, she's had in her gun. So
Do you think she has a Blu-ray copy of Knives Out in that gun?
I don't know. I think she holds some resentment towards um Ryan Johnson.
Why?
Just because I don't know. She seems like one of those people.
No, I think she's into it.
Nah,
I think she's also a proponent of physical media. She doesn't need that digital copy.
Everything that she has is digital. Like literally, her whole map system is digital.
Okay, but that's still pretty analog, though.
That's true.
Yeah, like having a drone do it instead of having. Okay,
Yeah.
We're getting off base.
Okay.
Isn't it weird how the Gamorreans under Bib Fortuna are allowed to wear clothes, but once Boba's in charge, he's like, shuts off.
I honestly didn't notice. I'm not gonna lie. What I did notice is that I don't know, man. There's something about this whole scene that I just like. It wasn't for me, Like I liked the little droid. I liked the General Grievous reference. That was definitely a reference.
The knives.
The chef, and he's literally spinning the knives on all six
Yeah.
of his hand. That's a General Grievous reference. That was funny. The little droid, the one that was running away, it's been in Clone Wars and it's been in or that type of droid, not that specific one. I think it was mainly wasn't it in Bad Batch on Kashyyyk, not Kashyyyk, Kamino.
Yes, I don't know, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, so it was cool to see one in live action because I think that was the first one we've ever seen in live action, and it looked really cute, and I liked it.
That whole sequence is pretty whimsical.
Yeah, the kitchen scene
before they get to the hangar, all the kitchen stuff.
Before they get to the hangar, and the kitchen stuff was fun because it was again weird Star Wars stuff. You're fighting a chef droid and a thing that kind of looks like a cat, and then
and the idea that Boba Fett cannot kill this little droid.
Yes, that's hilarious. And Fennec is just standing there watching him and not helping, and I think that's funny. But then we get to the hangar.
It's a standard shootout and punch out sort of thing.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it wasn't all that. It even though it was like a normal shootout punch out type thing, it wasn't a very good one because they talk about how many guards there are, but if Fennec is this precise, she would be counting how many guards there are. Maybe. She seems like that kind of person. If she was able to literally count how many guards there were, she would be counting them down in her head, or maybe even out loud about how many there are. But it was she basically just stood there, shot out. We didn't even get to see a whole lot of we got to see how accurate she was because she was shooting people in the face, and they were just showing it up close. Right, this person just got shot in the head with her gun, and I mean that was cool. It was a bunch of shooting and stuff, but I was also I never felt endangered for their safety, which I always like in a fight scene. I like to have to worry about the protagonist sometimes.
Have you had a bad day, Spencer?
I might have. I don't know. Yeah, there were stuff. I think it's the problem that there were such funny, quirky Star Wars things in this episode, and then they were just all right, let's just shoot a bunch of people in a hangar.
But why?
I have no idea.
Why don't you like that?
It's not as bad as I'm saying it is. I mean, I kind of enjoyed it, but it wasn't one of the best parts of the episode. They got Slave One back. That was cool. I liked that. But yeah,
The FSGS, the Physics
yes, yeah.
Fire Spray Gunship, is the
I
Physics.
think my biggest thing, like the big reason that I feel like I don't like that I'm not liking this last like half of the episode is literally just because of that whole like the whole conversation that we have between Finnick and Boba. It's good on Boba's half because we're actually getting like motivation, how he feels. You know, we're getting feelings from him, and then what we get from Finnick is her going, "You don't get out of it. Why?" Like, I'll come with you, I guess. I mean, we don't get a.
I'll push back on that. First off, yes, we do get feelings because yeah, Boba is bonding with that bantha,
Mm-hmm.
and they did like that's like another thing that they're just putting in for good measure. There's like he is like great with everyone. He is
Yeah.
just like a good pet dad. And they're doing that. They're doing that. I think they just really want to overload every episode with like wholesome moments of Boba,
Yeah.
entirely counteracting the previous notion of who we thought he was. And like like putting those different moments in those different contexts is definitely something I enjoy. But I think I don't think they've explored it very well, but there is something to be said about Fennec's restrained version of expressing those feelings.
Yeah. And
And
it's
the way that she differs it from him and her pessimism is that like you can't get out of this game very easily, you know. And
yeah.
there's still a guard that she's putting up that um I don't know how much of it is going to be taken down.
Well, and now like thinking about
Um,
it, I kind of get it because this is like the first day that she's known him. So I should probably give her a break that she's not just like opening up all of her feelings to this guy, you know, the day after she met him, even if he is like some famous crazy bounty hunter that she knows. Um, I don't know. I just really hope that at some point in ABF we get like just a good, solid emotion scene between the two of them.
mhm.
We've said it
So
for the whole
let's.
show. Can they just do
Mhm.
it?
I do. I want to. I'll touch on that later, but we got to get to the next scene. After they take the ship, they go destroy the Niktos. There's not really much to say about that because it's not an action scene. It's just like a tying up loose ends.
It's he's
So
literally blowing them to smithereens. At one point, he even shoots a missile
what
at
is
one
a
of them.
smithereen?
I don't know. Look it up.
There needs to be
What
like a
is
lecture
a
series and like Oxford
smither?
University. What is a smithereen?
Smithereen is a grenade. Small pieces. Smithereen is literally a word for small pieces. A grenade blew him to smithereens. Is the
So if someone's name is John Smith and they have three small children, he could
They
call
could be the
them
smithereens. Yeah.
his smithereens.
Yeah.
I just I found an advantage to being named a very basic last name.
If anyone's last name is Smith, please call your kids the Smithereens. That's very cool. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, I'm kind of like an observational comic, like kind of one of those Seinfeld guys.
Oh.
You know what they say? I'll be here all week. You know, I'm that kind of person. Um, so yeah, we get to the almost like Jonah and the whale kind of thing, except if Jonah was also a whale.
Yeah, if
There's a limit. There's a limit to my mythological like expertise here. Okay, I'm really reaching sometimes.
Jonah was also a whale. Oh man.
But yeah, they face off with the Sarlacc, and that was a cool image. Is
It's
what
the
I
most
mean to say.
goofy looking scene, dude. Like when they pan out and it's just like it looks like a face just like face down in the Sarlacc pit, and I'm like, that's so goofy looking. But like in a good way. Like it was funny.
Yeah,
Um
it's good. It's like I wish they honestly could have put in a moment where Boba was like, "Wait a minute, how did we get here?" Or like, what's the Obi-Wan quote? Like, "Wait a minute, we're smarter than this."
yeah.
Like that. Like it's literally like this is so avoidable.
And as much as I'm like, we don't need to like we don't need to like quote other people, especially if like they didn't say it originally. But I would have laughed so hard if he would have like got out of the Sarlacc, landed, and just been like another happy landing. Like, as much as we don't need to quote other characters, that would have been funny. But no, that scene was really funny, and I love that even after Fennec saves him by releasing the sonic bomb, he's like, "Don't touch my buttons."
Yeah, because that's like a because after wait a minute. Okay, so she says to him after the Jabba's palace job that like next time because that's a growth thing for her. It's like I'm deciding to stay with you. She says next time we stick to the plan, and
Yeah,
so then he's like, okay, I'll give you that, and then she does the buttons thing for their next time, and he's like, well, next time I just don't touch my buttons.
don't touch my
And
buttons.
we're on the same page. If I don't go against what I say, and if you don't touch my buttons,
Then we're good.
so that's them. That's them like playfully like working out their differences.
Yeah,
Um. So yeah, they do that, and then it's straight back. Is that the end of the flashback?
that is the end of the flashback.
We go back to the Bacta tank, and then a small sprinkling of the end credits scene from season 2 of Mando, just to be like, oh yeah, they took over the palace.
Yep.
Which was interesting because I thought they were gonna. I guess we'll see the armor recovery in next episode, but it's weird that they would like skip to the end of his you know journey to get the palace, but then we're gonna have to go back.
Well, if we see the end, we're also gonna have to. If we see the armor recovery, we're also gonna have to see Baby Yoda probably get taken again, and I don't know if I can do this, Christian. That's the same episode.
Explain.
Is the episode that he gets
they're gonna reuse footage?
No, but what I'm saying is the episode of Boba getting his armor back from Mando not also the same? Isn't that also the same episode that Baby Yoda gets taken?
Oh yeah.
I can't go through that again.
Never mind. They're not going to show that. I think they're going to stay on Tatooine. And I don't know. Like they could show the rest of his trajectory, like finding out, like spying on Cobb Vanth and finding out that someone else has been wearing it.
I hope Cobb Vanth shows up in this show. I hope.
Like they could, like, because obviously, if they want to reconnect it to his cameo at the beginning of season 2, they could show him spying on Mando and just see his point of view as those events are unfolding. But that's really just set up for his actual role in later season 2. So I think they're just gonna skip over it and just not really mess with it. And I think they might have done all the overlapping that they wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, also what I guess we didn't even talk about this, but he mentions that he was with the Tuskens for years. Like it wasn't just like weeks, like we kind of thought it was by the way the flashbacks were, but he was with them for years. Because he said when I came out of that Starlight Pit all those years ago. So he mentioned that he has been with the Tuskens.
Did he say when I got out or when I was put in? I thought he had said I fell in the Starlight Pit all those years ago, and that he was in the stomach for a few years.
I would assume he got out pretty quickly.
I don't really care.
It's been a long time. He was with the Tuskens for a while, probably.
I didn't really feel that. I don't get the vibe that was a long time.
Who knows?
I think just based on how the episodes are shown, it makes more sense that he was in the Starlight Pit for a long time.
That would make sense.
Because I don't think they really made anything explicit in the show that like he's been there a while.
Yeah, that's true. So what you don't know is that Robert Rodriguez makes a cameo in this episode.
I did not know that. Is he a droid voice?
Let me see.
What? So you didn't know the role?
Nope. I just saw. Oh, he plays the main Trandoshan.
Interesting.
The one that's wearing, I think he's the leader. He's wearing the red with the blue like thing over it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's apparently that is Robert Rodriguez. I didn't know it until just now looking at IMDb. But anyway, we
Hey, you
then
know why Trandoshans wear backless sweaters?
why?
Because their budget is scaled back.
Nice. Uh, so then we go back to present day or ABF, and Boba goes down to the club, and we see Black Chrysanthemum there, and I would say that he has a little bit of like a score to settle with some Trandoshans, considering they capture Wookiees and hunt them for sport.
Yeah.
You know,
I was first
as one
thinking
does.
like when I was looking at him the first time, I was like, okay, he's just confused. He doesn't know what to do because Boba set him free. And then I was like, wait, no.
No,
He's
he
bounty
hates
hunter.
Trandoshans.
He needs to start a fight. He's a bounty hunter. He's bored. He's in a bar. He just wants to cause violence. Wait a minute, they're Trandoshans. He
Yeah.
is
It
out
took
for
me
blood.
it took me a second too, and I was like, oh yeah, they hunt his people for sport. That's like a thing that they do. So he probably does not like Trandoshans. And he picks up he gets in a big fight, picks up one of the Trandoshans, holds him by his arms, and I get really close to my phone, and as I said in the last episode, I was really ready for him to rip that Gamorrean guard's arm off. Because did Chewbacca ever like explicitly rip a dude's arm off on like in a movie?
No.
I know Han mentions it.
He puts C-3PO's arms on. See,
Back
that's the
together.
thing we don't understand about Chewbacca is that people look at him and they label him as an arm ripper, but he's really an arm attacher.
Yeah, he is. Well, Han also says that he has ripped people's arms off before. I don't remember if he did in Solo. I think he did in Solo, probably. There's probably a scene where he rips some dude.
Yeah, he actually did. He did in Solo.
Yeah, I was gonna say he ripped a dude's arm off in Solo. Anyway,
yeah, because like he rips the arms off, and then Solo was like, "Well, thanks, but I was gonna wear that."
Oh yeah, that's funny. I remember that. Guys. Yep. But in this episode, Black Chrysanthemum picks up the Trandoshan, and I was like, yes, and I got really close to the screen, and then the hostess lady, she calls him Santo. First off, that's cool. That's a cool nickname. Anyway, she's like trying to talk him out of it, and I was like, man, you really gonna tease me like that 2 episodes in a row and not show me him ripping some dude's arm off? And then after she kind of convinces him not to, he rips his arm off anyway and throws it on the floor, and I was like, yes! I was so happy. We got to see another Wookiee ripping some dude's arm off.
Okay, so Black Chrysanthemum has the vibe of like people like his design feels like, okay, we need to make Chewbacca if he was like okay, Chewbacca himself, he's like a small forward or a power forward on a basketball team.
He's KD.
Yeah, he's KD, and then
we need Shaq.
And then Black Chrysanthemum is like who's like a 6'5" quarterback.
Cam.
Yeah, like okay, the heights are different, but like the ratio is different.
Yeah,
Black Chrysanthemum is a quarterback in his girth, so he seems stronger. But at the same time, do you think
he honestly kind of looks like?
Do you think they had him rip one arm off so as to not smush on Chewbacca's legend?
Maybe, but let's also be honest.
Do you think Favreau was like, Chewbacca is the best, so he would take 2 arms off? But
I think it was a reference to a new. I think it was more of a reference to New Hope than an actual creative decision. Because
you could still reference that shot.
Yeah, but then they'd be like, well, but then we wouldn't know because they didn't rip both arms off on screen. That's the thing. The arms were not ripped on screen, they were ripped off screen and then dropped on screen. Like there is no shot of him ripping the dude's arm off. He like makes a motion, it cuts to the floor, and his arm falls.
There's also a crackle. Don't discount.
There is a crackle. Yes,
but
I think it was
like they could have referenced that shot in A New Hope with 2 arms.
Yeah, they could have.
But I was coming at it from like a Favreau, like how these writers sort of are precious about little details about like past characters.
You
So
know,
like, I
like
was wondering
making
if
Luke look
Favreau
like
was
a
like,
good guy, even though he's a douche.
yeah, J.J. Abrams. But I was thinking Favreau. Like, I was wondering if Favreau like didn't want to have Chrysanthemum on the same level as Chewbacca.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
I don't
really
know.
have an
I
opinion
also
about it. I was
think
wondering if
about
that was his
the
thing.
physics behind if you're pulling on two arms at the same time.
Spencer. I'm not going to think about the physics of anything.
It's much easier to rip one arm off than to rip two arms off. That's all I'm saying. Because like if you're pulling on two things, one of them's going to give before the other one, and then you have nothing to pull against the other one that hasn't ripped off yet. So you're just going to rip one of their arms off. The other arm's definitely pulled out of socket, but it's much easier to just pull one arm off. You're welcome. In case you ever want to go rip someone's arm off.
And the what would you call it? The manager of that club, the Twilight woman, is played by Jennifer Beals, who that's one of those actresses where I like only knew the name and like never seen them. But apparently she's been in like Robert Rodriguez films before.
I'm looking at her IMDb because I don't know of anything. I know her name, and that's about it. She was in the TV show version of Taken, which I haven't seen.
Critically acclaimed. Audiences love the Taken TV show.
Yeah, oh, she was in Castle. I've seen that. I've seen like episodes of Castle. She was in. Oh, I thought it said The Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah, no, I haven't seen anything that she's in. Oh, she's in Catch That Kid. Militia. She's in The Hunger, 1999. Yeah. Anyway, let's back to the episode.
I was just doing like a quick addendum, but you turned it into an IMDb corner.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's all good.
So after the arm pulling off is the dinner scene.
Yep. And basically, it is all of the different faction or family leaders.
This is what I want you to pull up on Disney Plus or YouTube, whichever.
Oh, pull it up on Disney Plus. What would you like me to pull up, my friend?
This scene.
Are you sharing your screen?
And I'll show it. Huh?
Are you sharing your screen?
Oh, you want me to do it?
Oh no, I can do it. You just got.
No.
When you said what, you said this scene, and I thought that you were like trying to show me a scene. Anyway, yeah. So before we show it, this is basically.
I will look it up, and Spencer, I'll look it up, and you filibuster.
Okay. We pan down from the twin sons of Tatooine, and we are by the mouth of the Sarlacc pit, and the gloved Mandalorian gauntlet of Boba Fett pierces through the sand and grabs onto the edge of the sand, and the feared bounty hunter Boba Fett pulls himself up, showing this that Boba Fett has indeed survived the maw of the sand beast. And there's like 7 minutes of that crap. Do you realize that? I found the extended cut. Patton Oswalt does that for 7 minutes.
You made it you did it like that's the longest you've done it for.
Okay, so could they cut it there? That's where they cut the actual like thing in the movie. But if you remember, that scene is completely ad-libbed, right? He does it for 7.5 minutes, and in it he connects the Star Wars universe to the Marvel universe and the X-Men universe, all in the one filibuster. Have you seen the full thing?
Yeah.
It's really fun. He's like, and then we cut away to Thanos, and it's like, what is this? I love that he came up with it on the spot. Because at first I thought that Patton Oswalt had actually like had an idea for a Star Wars movie, and he was just pitching it. But no, it's a joke. It's so much, and by the end of it, he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so out of breath. Can we just stop?" And everyone has left the courtroom. Like, including the main cast. Like, everyone just left the courtroom in the middle of him doing this. Anyway, that's all I have to say. It was really funny. And I watched all 8 minutes of it this afternoon, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Have you pulled up the episode yet?
I'm almost at the shot, and I feel bad for after you doing that whole monologue to have to also synopsize this scene, but would you mind?
Yeah, so basically this scene is the the three other families, but besides the crime family of Tatooine, are all meeting up, and Boba is trying to tell them that the Pike Syndicate is way overstepping their grounds on Tatooine, and that he wants them to help him, kind of I guess drive the Pikes out. And they're all like, "Why would we, kill our own people just to save you? Because they're only invading your territory." And he said, "Well, basically, don't work with them, don't kill me, and I won't kill you, and we'll be good." And they're like, "Cool, I can do that," but it doesn't really sound like they all can really do that. And they all walk away, and it's really dark.
Didn't you say that Disney Plus is not, it doesn't work on Zoom? You can't screen capture it?
It actually did the other day, I think, but we'll see. I have it if you want me to look it up. Which shot do you want?
No, I got it.
Oh, you do? All right, show your screen, my man. And if you're watching on YouTube, you should also see this popping up here in a few seconds, because we're trying to make this as user-friendly to YouTube as possible, and it's working. Let's go. We just can't play the audio, so don't play the audio.
Yeah, I have it muted.
Sit.
Okay, so this is right after the Rancor sort of messes with the dinner party.
That guy right there, the guy in the red that you're seeing, that is Robert
Spencer's
character. Sorry.
Okay, Spencer. Okay, this is my segment. You got to do your little joke thing.
I'm sorry. Do your segment.
This look. That look from Fennec Shand. Yeah. That's all. You said earlier.
Timestamp.
You said
40 minutes, 57 seconds for anyone not watching on YouTube.
You said earlier how we're all just waiting for them to do it at this point. That look is like her entire, like she is.
Yeah.
You see it, right?
The tension in this room can be cut with a knife.
Yes. She saw what Boba just. Boba didn't really even do anything, but
no, she saw it. She was like.
But I mean, in a way, Boba didn't flinch because he knew the Rancor was there the whole time, and they planned that whole stunt.
I want to know how he got the Rancor to do that, because that's cool.
I think it was random, but like,
there's no way. That was way too perfect timing. He was literally like, they were like, "Why should we do that?" And then the Rancor popped up. Like, what? And like, there's no way he didn't plan that or something. Anyway. Oh wait. Machete's down there, so it's fine.
After that happens, and everyone in the room is like, okay, we'll start to maybe cooperate. She looks from him to them, and she's just like, this is why I'm with this guy. He is my man.
Yeah. Also, we didn't see Danny Trejo this whole episode. I'm gonna riot. Oh, I bet that's who got the Rancor to do that at that timing. It was probably a Danny Trejo thing.
Also, there was a cool shot, like as the clouds went through the
I thought those were his teeth.
I think it was claws. But like, there's like a dolly zoom. They did like a vertical effect as that happened.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go rewatch the end scene again once we're done here to listen for the Mando theme song. Because I didn't catch that the first time.
Yeah, but let's go through that argument or like sort of debate.
Yeah,
with the other crime families. So basically, Boba is like, the Pikes are taking over. The mayor is endorsing it. They're gonna drain Tatooine's wealth. I want you guys to help me combat them. And the other families are like, we've got wealth in other territories. It's like, they're not all Tatooine. Also that Boba also said that like they were captains under Jabba. They have wealth from that, but they didn't stay with Bib Fortuna because Bib Fortuna's a bad leader. And then Boba's saying like, I am actually a good leader. I want to actually respect you and not drive you out, and I don't want to threaten you either.
Yeah.
So then they're saying that like, we don't really have any reason to fight with you on this, and how do we know that you're not going to just kill us and take everything for yourself? Which he answers by saying what? I forget.
Oh, I don't remember.
I know like all the points, but it's all jumbled. I don't know the order of
Yeah,
things.
that's fine.
But basically, the conclusion is Boba says, if you're not going to join me,
Don't join them either.
yes. So like they're gonna
He says,
eventually,
"Oh, he says if you're not going to join me, remain neutral."
yeah. So
Or
like
his
once the
exact
Pikes
words.
come to your door saying, "Hey, mind helping us kill this Mandalorian who's got like some teenagers and two Gamorrean guards as his army, plus a really cool assassin," and they'd be like, "Yeah, sure," but he's like, "Hey, don't do that
Yeah,
because I'm not going. This like this is your last chance." So they all are like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." They're gonna go against their word, definitely.
oh, for sure.
But at
Especially
least
those,
someone, at
especially
least
those. Is it the dog looking people that like take forever to respond?
I think so.
I think it's them. Yeah,
I would hope that one group wants to team up or something. But
I do too. I don't
that's the
want
thing.
like
We don't know enough about them as characters to really have an idea of what any sort of twists could be.
yeah. We just kind of know like how they act here, which is not a lot. But so what do you hope to see in the next episode? What do
More
you or what
Fennec.
do you think we're gonna see?
We got more Fennec in this episode, but I continue to want more Fennec.
Me too.
Um, okay, this is everything. All of my excitement is relative. Like this is still under the umbrella of me. Like, do other shows, please. Get
Mm.
other writers to do this stuff. I don't want a monopoly of Filoni and Favreau dictating everything Star Wars. Um, like the things that should be long running are the Leslie Headland projects, are the um, like to name an example. I'm blanking on the other writers that have announced stuff. Like Filoni and Favreau, Favreau's a longtime Marvel guy. Filoni's a longtime Star Wars guy. They've already done that stuff. So let a new team, new voice, do this long running stuff. What they're actually gonna do is let Acolyte be a miniseries. I'm pretty sure, or not necessarily miniseries, but I don't know if they're gonna make that.
Let Filoni do the live action Avatar.
Anyway,
they've already cast it. It's coming, and hopefully it's not as
I
bad
don't
as the
think he's
first
doing
one.
it. Anyway, what I'm saying is that's my general outlook on Star Wars. But within the show that I'm getting, I'm enjoying. I think episode 2 and 4 are my favorites of the show, and and because I know that they're not creative enough to do something that doesn't need Din Djarin, I'm just gonna choose to be excited for anything I get with him, and so I'm excited to see Din Djarin next episode. That's
So
definitely
you are
gonna
excited to
happen.
see him. I think it'll be
Yes,
good. I feel bad that it's gonna completely take away from my love of, like I'm not gonna be able to focus on Boba Fett because I love Mandos too much.
yeah, but at least we'll get music. That's good
And at
because
least we'll actually get a compelling, like a character that is cool and like
yeah,
emotionally different.
like the fact that the music was included was enough for me to instinctively just emotionally get excited
Yeah,
and
no,
like
as soon as that
remember.
music played, I was like, ooh, like this.
Yeah, I missed having something that tied episode to episode that like really contributed to the story because I don't feel like I get that with the music in Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like it got me because of that just programming. It didn't even. I was at the moment was just like, yeah, go ahead, put them in. Let's see a damaged Din and get a preview for season 3.
Mm-hmm. Who knows
Let's
when
be
that's
honest.
coming out? It
Let's be
better be
honest.
good.
Even if we're like, yeah, this is the end of a show that we don't like, we're still gonna be like, hey, Din Djarin was in at least one of the last 2 episodes, the last
Yeah.
3. Like we don't know how many he's gonna be in.
I don't know,
So
but if they're
we'll
gonna take
have
two and
we'll
a half
have
years,
we'll have something. We'll have a morsel of stuff to talk about for season 3.
yeah.
Which, granted, that's like the whole weakness of Marvel is that you shouldn't be watching a movie to get information on the next movie. I get that, but we're in this for Mando, so like,
yeah, this
I'd
whole
like
reason we
to
do this
have something
podcast.
to look
Mando
forward
is
to.
what made this podcast. So it's like literally the whole
Yeah.
reason we're here. So I mean, if they're gonna spend 2.5 years making this show, it better be good. That's all I have to say. I'm gonna be really upset if Mando's not good, and they spent this long making it.
Is it gonna be 2.5 years? I think they started probably like beginning of 2021.
Well, it's been already, or sorry, a year and a half. That's what I meant. Because it's probably gonna be at least a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Season 1 though took like 2 to 3 years.
I know, but then season 2 was great, and they did it in a year. So who knows?
With caveats.
Okay, yeah, it was great. Not as great, but also great. Anyway, anything else to say about this episode?
The music playing in the Thundercat scene might have been, I don't know if it was made by Thundercat, but hey, that's like, if we can't get Ludwig Göransson in an in-universe band, getting like a cool musician to just be a sci-fi weirdo is like a quarter of the way there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Also, we've never really talked about the music because it's so unremarkable, but the themes for the show, the main theme is Ludwig Göransson, but the score for the whole show as a whole is some other person that I haven't looked up yet.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Ludwig Göransson was like, I could not be bothered. Gonna be working on Creed 3, Black Panther 2.
Which, awesome. Can't wait for the second
Did you know
one.
that Creed 3 is gonna be directed by Michael B. Jordan?
Did you know that I haven't seen any of the Creed movies, and I've only seen Rocky 1?
I haven't seen any of the Rocky movies.
Rocky 1's okay. I like it. It's definitely an 80s film. That's for sure. Anyway, we'd like to thank you for listening to this episode of the Last Star Wars podcast. If you want to keep up with us or find us anywhere else, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Last Star Wars Pod, or you can find us on Facebook and YouTube at the Last Star Wars Podcast. If you want to let us know what you want us to do next, what are your opinions on Book of Boba Fett or anything else coming up, let us know if you're going to get the Lego game. Who knows? You can email us at the Last Star Wars, not at laststarwarspod@gmail.com. Just let us know what you want. And last but not least, first link in the description, StarWarsNowThis.com. Go check it out. Biggest catalog of all your Star Wars podcasts you can ever think of. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Last Star Wars Podcast, and we'll see you next week.